Welcome on the Wool Winder podcast. Today I'm looking at my 4 works in progress, including a test knit and comparing the Shift and Traveller cowl, and we're looking at my finished sweater. Hello and a warm welcome to the Wool Winder podcast. My name is Frances and I'm coming to you today from Cornwall, where outside today the weather is beautifully sunny. Yesterday it was very wet, so you never quite know what you're going to get. To share with you today, I have got my finished object, which is my field sweater, and 4 works in progress, including a test knit, and I have been doing some swatching for my next cast on. So grab yourself a cup of tea and your knitting and let's get started. So here is my finished item, the field sweater. This is a top-down sweater with a really interesting grain pattern within the yoke, which is created by using a mixture of cables and slip stitches and so forth. Every row is different and you do have to keep focused and concentrate on what you're doing. I marked my rows as I was going down with a sticky marker, because you can't afford to lose track of which row you're on. It would be very difficult to pick up where you were if you went back to it later. I also marked out my pattern repeats within each row, so I've just got a little on needle marker marking out my pattern repeats, and then I also followed the tutorials by Tash from Mostly Knitting, and that also helped eliminate any doubt when I was going through the pattern. So then I've created the yoke. I divided for the sleeves. I went up from a size 4 to a size 5 size for the body. Keep it so the yoke and the sleeves are a size 4 and the body is a size 5, and I achieved gauge on a 3.75mm needle rather than a 4mm needle. It's got a 1x1 rib on the sleeves and on the hem and around the neck, a tubular cast on and Italian bind off on the sleeves and the hem. It's blocked beautifully. I was concerned that the yoke might be too large. I mean, initially you're knitting it, it's on these tiny because you've got it on circulars, it looks smaller, and then I put it onto a barber cord and thought, oh heavens, that's enormous, it's going to be far too big. But I found that by the time I'd knitted all the body and blocked it, as you can see, it does fit me. It is fitting round the shoulders. There's no extra fabric there, if you like. So I'm delighted with that, and it has blocked beautifully. It's a lovely yarn, and it has blocked beautifully. I feel the sleeves have got a really nice fit to them, snug but not tight. So I'm really pleased with that, and I knitted it in the John Arbon Textiles Knit by Numbers, which is a combination of blue-faced Leicester, so 50-50 blue-faced Leicester and Falkland Island Merino. Obviously you've got that lovely wool from the blue-faced Leicester, but you've got that softness coming in from the Falkland Island Merino. I've only got a vest on underneath my jumper today, and it doesn't feel itchy. It feels really nice. It feels warm, but I do really enjoy wearing wool for that fact that it keeps you warm, but you don't overheat. In Cornwall on the whole it's not terribly cold. You want a little bit of warmth, particularly from the coastal winds, but you can easily get quite warm, especially when you're doing a lot of walking, and I really enjoy the fact that the wool allows your skin to breathe. So really pleased with this pattern. Quite tempted to knit the field cardigan at some point as well, because it has come out so well, and I also think that I will probably knit in the Knit by Numbers again. There's a whole range of colours within that. I got mine from Stitches and Cream, which you can get online, so that was a really lovely yarn, and I think I may well use that again. So my first work in progress that I have to share with you today is my test knit, which is called the Nettle Earnest by Maddie Harvey Designs, and it is knitted in a yarn from Blue Fern Yarns, which is on their classic DK base, and the colour is called Paramore, although actually you'll get to see it more clearly in the actual garment, and I'll hold that up to show you. So here it is. This is Nettle Earnest. So it is described as a tank top. It's designed to be a layering piece that you can wear over a blouse or a t-shirt or what have you. But I also wanted to make sure that I could wear mine just either with a vest underneath, or maybe not even that. So I wanted to know that I could wear it right next to bare skin. So I've chosen quite a soft yarn. So the Blue Fern yarns, this double knit, classic double knit, is a lovely soft, it's a superwash merino, and it is a lovely soft yarn, and I know from experience from when I've knitted other yarns, when I've knitted Blue Fern yarns before, I know that it will come out, that it will be a really lovely soft yarn to wear against my skin. So the pattern starts at the top, at the front, with this lovely broken rib, and you've got short row shaping in that front neck there, which is hidden within the broken rib, which is a clever feature. And then you're moving down to stocking stitch and then onto the broken rib at the bottom, and then you're picking up the stitches on the front to then start for the back, and obviously casting on the stitches on the back neck as well. And I really like the way, let me try and hold this up, I really like the way where you've picked up the stitches, that really nice continuous line that you get between the front and the back, the continuous line of the broken rib. I think that works really well. And then this is the back here, and it is running down with that, again you've got the short row shaping, and you can see that that brings up the neck quite a bit higher than the front. Broken rib goes down, and I've just now started onto the stocking stitch stage. You'll come down again all the way as you did before with the broken rib hem, but the sleeve, the hem even, is going to be split, and that means that you can choose the length that you want to do the back. So what I mean is it could be a bit longer if you want it to be, or it could be the same length. I'm tempted to possibly take it a bit longer. I don't know. That's a decision I'm going to make when I get there. But I'm very pleased with it. There's a real variation. No, there isn't a real variation. There is a variation in the yarns, which I think actually, if anything, I think the camera's picking it out more than you can see it in natural light. And you can see the different, you've got the darker reds within the lighter reds in there, and as you come up here there's more lighter red than darker red, and I haven't mixed the skeins, and that was a conscious choice not to, because I don't particularly like that over striping element that you can get in it. And I don't think it's that noticeable, but it is something that I'm conscious of. It's which way do you go with it? And I guess ultimately that's personal choice, but it is a lovely yarn. It's going to feel really nice to wear, and hopefully it's going to be a nice easy top to throw onto lots of things. So yeah, that's a really nice, interesting, it's always fun to do a test knit. If it's something would only want to do a test knit if it was something that I felt I was going to wear afterwards. I'm not going to be doing it for the sake of doing it, so to speak. So my next work in progress is the Fern and Feather. I had just done the yoke when I showed this to you last. I am now making good progress on the body. This is the back here, which has quite a lot of short row shaping, so it's quite a bit longer at the moment, or noticeably longer at the moment than the front is. When I split for the sleeves, I again moved up from one size to another. So the yoke is a size G and the body is a size H. And the way that I achieve that is, I'll give it to you as an example. If there were 10 more stitches in the body stitches of the size H than there was the size G, then you need to add 5 extra stitches under the arm. So where you are casting on for under the arm, you need to add an extra 5 stitches. And I've done this system, and that means then that the total amount of stitches you've got is the size H stitches then as you go forth, hence giving you the size H on the body. I've done this system, I did it for the Lanark, I've done it for the field sweater. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I think there are some other things that I've done it for as well, and it seems to really work well for me, so that I've not got a jumper that's too large on the shoulders. Sleeves for me stay the same size, stay that smaller size as the yoke. That's what works for me. I don't need extra room around the arms, but it's all about what fits us, isn't it? You know, so, and that's why I'm sharing with you, because I think it's always interesting to know how we get things to fit us, you know. And the yarn that this is knitted in is the Fibre company, Cumbria into Hills, which is a worsted weight. Am I making that up? No, it is a worsted weight. And it's knitted on size 5 needles. I took on a paid knitting project for a company, and I knitted several projects that were on large needles, 8mm needles. I think one was 7mm, one was 8mm needles, and I noticed that I started to develop pain. Obviously I was knitting quite a lot, and I started to notice pains in my arms, and then equally I noticed that when I finished the project that stopped. So it does make me mindful about what I'm choosing. As I say, this is on a 5mm, and what I'm deliberately avoiding knitting too much of this in any one go, so that I'm not causing myself any problems, because those pains can take 24 hours or so to disappear. And that is something that I'm going to need to bear in mind with things that I choose to knit in the future, is that anything 4mm and below, I know that I'm pretty safe on, but I'm going to be a little bit wary of the large things, which is a shame because it does knit up more quickly. But we all have to work within our limitations, don't we? So my next work in progress are my Traveller and Shift Cowls. Both of these are Cowls by Andrea Mowry, and they are Cowls that are designed to look like an asymmetrical shawl without the need for styling. So you're knitting them to a shape that you then sew part of it together at the end, and that creates, and then you pop it over your head, and that instantly creates that look. So I'll start off with the shift cowl. And the shift cowl is a shift slip pattern. You're up there to have a look on that. And I cast this on originally, and I wasn't sure about it. And I think that's really because when at the beginning, at the top, I was feeling it wasn't terribly exciting. But as I continued on with it, actually, I've really loved the way the colour has developed. And you can see you start off with a dark green down the first end, and then you're working up, and there's a bit of red and some orange and darker colours coming into it, and then the orange develops fully and then eventually moves over into a yellow, and I've still got quite a way to go on it, so there'll be more to see. And in fact, if you look at it on the reverse side, because you're holding the yarn at the back when you're slipping the stitch, that gives you a little idea. You can see the colour on the camera, it shows that a little bit more. And these yarns that I've knitted it in are, this one's from Camel Yarns, and this one, you can see I've still got some more colours. Well, it's interesting actually, so it goes lime green, and then actually there's some sort of tealy stuff going on in there, so that's then going to merge in a bit more to this as we go along. And this coloured one is called Kremke Soul Wool in the Mood. Excuse me. And it's the colourway Cheerfulness. So I did eventually go with those two colours on there. You may remember me saying I wasn't sure if I was going to continue with the shift cowl or go over to the traveller cowl, and I decided to do both. And I bought another yarn which I wondered if I was going to somehow put into the shift cowl, and this is another one from Camel Yarns, and it's called Pimms O, which is quite funny because anybody that knows me will know Pimms is my favourite tipple, especially during the summer. So I've taken this yarn and then I've mixed some other yarns from my stash into it. And when I look on Ravelry, that seems to be what a lot of people are doing. So this is a much more straightforward pattern. It's the same asymmetrical shape with the same I-cord running down at the side, but it's made up of stocking stitch and garter stitch. So it's a more straightforward pattern to follow. But what it does allow is a great play really with lots of different colours. It allows you to experiment with different things. So I've taken my Pimms O yarn, and you can see that with the red and the yellows, and I've added in this lime green colour here and this bottle green colour here, and just put them in between, hiding in the stocking stitch stripes, sort of hiding behind the garter stitch, if you like. So I love that combination. I've got to the lime green by using, as I say, they're from my stash. You might remember that these are two yarns that I frogged from a whip that I decided was not going to get finished. So you've got Rowan fine lace there and Rowan Kidsilk Haze, and so that's my lime green. And then the dark green, the bottle green, may look familiar to you. This is what I've got here, although I've got another small ball somewhere as well as a full skein, because it's the Knit by Numbers John Arbon yarn. So as I say, it's just playing around with in my stash, starting with that colour and then playing around and seeing what I had. I put a little post on Instagram a few weeks back where it was a really dark and gloomy day and the rain was absolutely lashing against the window, and I put all my different yarns that I had, the ones that I'd bought and the ones that I had from a stash, and just having a play with colour, trying to work out what was going to go with what, and that was where I ended up with that decision. So these are great fun. I am taking these out on the go. I'm getting out quite a lot now, knitting by the beach or knitting in a cafe, or where, and it's just what I like about knitting, as opposed to I would probably otherwise be reading, is that you can be looking out and enjoying the view at the same time when you're knitting. When my children were a little bit younger, but not so young that I needed to be really close to them, it used to be nice for that as well. You could, as long as you could put it down quickly obviously, but you could knit and keep an eye on them. So I used to quite enjoy doing that. So that is my two cows. And if you were to say to me, do I have a preference? I'm not sure that I do, because actually I think that the two of them are both so interesting in their own ways. And obviously you can see one is a more subtle play with colour and one is a really vibrant play with colour. But yeah, they're both really interesting patterns in their own ways, and I'm enjoying both of them enormously. Probably the only thing I would say about this one is that the knitting with the 3 different yarns, the 2 strands of fine lace and one of Kidsilk Haze, in order to achieve the double knit, is a bit fiddly at times. So maybe that's the only downside to it, but they're great fun, and I've got them, as I say, in my little bags, taking them out and about doing my knitting. So that was my Andrea Mowry Cowls. So then finally I've been swatching for what will probably be my next cast on, which is the Nola cardigan. And Nola is a nickname apparently, according to the designer, for magnolia. I've not heard that before. I love magnolias, and they'll be starting to come out now. Certainly back in St Albans, where I'm originally from, you'd see them often in people's gardens, and they look absolutely fantastic. So anyway, So this is the Nola Cardigan, so let me show you what I've been doing. So the yellow would be the main colour, and this would be the terracotta, orange, whatever, peach, would be the flower pattern. So what I've ascertained from doing this, so I was knitting these on a Ever Hopeful 4.5 needle, and I'm going to need to go up to a 5 needle and 5mm needle and give that another try, because I need to achieve 16 stitches, and this is 18 stitches. So yeah, I'll give that another go. But I like the colours. I don't know where I got this idea in my head for these colours, but I just knew that was the kind of colours that I wanted to achieve. So this yarn is, let me just hiding in the ball here is my ball band, and it's called, oh, it's from the Fibre company, and Make Aaron. And yep, okay, and that was from Stitches and Cream. But then the other colour was from my stash, and that was again part of my playing around with colour on the windowsill on that wet day that I was talking about earlier. And again, this is a frogged yarn. It's Rowan Alpaca Soft, but yeah, when I put them together, I thought that is the colour that I'm looking for. I also think what I will do, I'm just trying to see if I've got something. I don't think I have. I want to also put in the centre of the flower possibly a cream. That's too light, but that's kind of my thinking. So something a little bit darker than this. Yeah, a little slightly more beigey, but yeah, just basically not quite so bright. But that is my thinking. That is what I'm thinking along the lines of doing. So I'm going to need to retest on a 5mm, and to be honest, this is only a tiny test. I really need to do something a little bit bigger than this as well. And then we'll see if we're ready to go. I'm trying to decide, when I look at the sleeves on the cardigan, there are two options. These wonderful floaty open sleeves which look fabulous, but I'm not sure they're practical, and I kind of know what I'm like when it comes to it. I'll have one idea in my head and one idea about being a bit more practical, and then if it's not practical, I'll only be wearing it for, you know, even going out for dinner, I'm thinking if it's got sleeves like that, I'm going to be worried about getting it into something. So I am probably going to have to go for the more practical option, I think. Anyway, that's a decision yet to be made. So, but I'm really pleased with how those colours are looking. And it's a little bit of a, I haven't got anything, got lots of this colour, did a lot of this last summer, but this is venturing into something a bit different, so I think that's going to be a lot of fun. I'm waiting for some yarn to come in, which is still on order, so I'm probably going to cast on, I may cast on something else in between depending on when it comes. I'm also hoping that I will get a chance. Tomorrow I'm going to go to Stitches and Cream. I may or may not get a chance to also get to Yarn Festival in Norfolk, but we'll see how that goes. But if I don't get more yarn, then I'm thinking that I might cast on a Tolster Tea. I did the 4-ply last year in the yellow, and it did come out a bit big, so actually, to be honest, whether it come out big or not, I would like to give that pattern another go, and this time I'm going to do it. And these are yarns again that are left over from when I knitted my satin cardigan, and I've got a bit more, I've got twice as much of the blue as that, and I'm thinking that I will knit it in that. So I'm going to start with the white and then have some stripes and then go into the blue. That's my thinking with that. So it seems a nice, this is a lovely yarn. It's quite, I say delicate. It's a Falkland Island wool with 20% mulberry silk, and it does feel lovely. I thought that would be really nice to do it in that. So we will see as to what gets cast on first, really depending on what ends up, what yarns I've got. And I've got a number of different ideas of other pattern ideas beyond the Nola cardigan that I would like to knit as we move into spring. So I'm putting away all my ideas for jumpers. There's still plenty of those, but I'm putting those away till we move towards the autumn and having a real good think about lots of ideas for spring. And there should be, hopefully, a video coming up in a couple of weeks where I talk about all those ideas, and hopefully I'll have some yarn to show you that are going to go with those ideas. But we will see things that are not necessarily in my control. That is all the knitting chat. I'm going to get out, as I said, to St Ives this afternoon and enjoy a bit of knitting in the sunshine. I realised, I did some calculations the other day, that we've only got 10.5 weeks left down here until our rental runs out, so that's a bit of sad, and we're on borrowed time, so we've got to make the most of it. So coming up at the end of this video there will be another walk in Cornwall to share with you, and I'm hoping tomorrow that I will get over to Falmouth, to Stitches and Cream in Falmouth. Have lunch with my daughter as well, of course, but I'm hoping to have a look at some yarns, pick up some ideas for my spring creations, which I will hopefully be able to share with you in a couple of weeks. So that just leaves me to say to you, take care, happy knitting, and we will see you again in a couple of weeks. Bye bye.